so today we are making one of my all-time favorite kinds of recipes, and that's what I like to call a back pocket recipe. And all that means is it's so easy. Once you do it once, you're always going to remember it, and you can kind of pull it out whenever you need it. So it looks fancy, tastes delicious, but yet it's super easy to make. Best kind of recipe, right? It's an asparagus tart. Don't get your panties in a bunch because we are not going to be making our own crust or anything crazy. We're going to start with one of my very first favorite shortcut ingredients, and that's puff pastry. You can get Pepperidge Farm at any grocery store in the freezer aisle. And you can also go, if you're over at Whole Foods, they have like an all butter one that's really amazing when you really want to make it a little bit extra special. But you just want to be really careful when you're unwrapping it. And one of the things you got to keep in mind, as much as I love this recipe, you do have to think one day ahead because you have to have time to thaw it overnight. What you want to do is just stick it in the fridge the night before and it'll be perfect. So one thing I'm going to do now is just got to get a nice clean work surface, and I'm just going to take a little bit of flour, sprinkle it on. Grab my pan here. Now, this is about a 10 by 10 square. And it's actually perfect because what we're looking for is about a 10 by 16, 15-inch rectangle. So all we really need to do is keep one in the same and then roll the rest out so it gets bigger by about, let's say, 50%. So I'm just gonna take a little bit more flour, put it right on top. Make sure your rolling pin is not sticky, and we are gonna get rolling. So again, just be gentle. You want to make sure that you're not getting too sticky to the counter. So sometimes I kind of just like to pick it up. So we only need to go one way. I love this recipe because you can really adapt it to like any season. I love doing it right now with asparagus in the springtime because obviously asparagus is in season, perfect for Easter. But the asparagus go right across the top, so they look really pretty. The spears are gorgeous. But you could also do in the summertime if you wanted to try it with like roasted tomatoes, and goat cheese, or in the fall, maybe with like fontina and mushrooms. Caramelized onions anytime would be absolutely outstanding. You could even mix that in with something like this. Right here, my baking sheet, it's about the same size as we want. What you can do if you don't have a rimless baking sheet is just take a regular one and flip it upside down like I did. That way when you slide it off, you're not endangering your beautiful tart. So I'm just gonna roll it onto my pin so that I don't break it when I'm transferring it over. Parchment, just so it doesn't stick. I'm just going to take a brush and dust off this flour, just the excess. So if you have an edge that's not exactly straight and you want to just make it straight, you can just trim it with a pizza cutter. Little paring knife. What I'm going to do right now is just make kind of a little crust. I'm just going to very gently give it about a 1-inch border. Don't go all the way through. And this is going to make the outside crust puff up more than the inside. Just poke it with the fork all over, in the inside, not in the crust. Just going to allow the steam to escape, make sure we don't get any bubbles. So now we're going to pop it into the oven, 400 degrees, preheated of course. For about 15 minutes. Okay, golden brown, gorgeous, right? So it did puff up a little bit, so I just kind of took a spoon and smashed it down. Next order of business, Dijon mustard, one of my favorites. Like, no wonder I love this recipe so much. It's all my favorite ingredients. Dijon mustard, roasted asparagus, Gruyere. So I'm just gonna brush a little bit of this on. This is my little secret ingredient, just because I love the little tang that it adds. And like I said, I'm obsessed with Dijon. I mean, I literally frequently lick the spoon, take a spoonful of it, whatever. 2 cups of shredded Gruyere. You could switch up the cheese, even if you don't like Gruyere or you have something else in your fridge already. You know, it doesn't really matter. It's pretty adaptable. Just something nice and melty. But who doesn't like Gruyere? This is gonna allow the asparagus to adhere to the tart really well. It's gonna kind of just melt right into it. All right, let's make sure our asparagus are a good size. Yeah, I think I'm going to trim them a little bit more just because it did shrink a little bit when it baked. This is about half of it, so I'm gonna put these right on top. I'm gonna put half this way. Now go the opposite way. You can already tell how gorgeous this is gonna be, right? It's about 1.5 pounds of asparagus. So I might not use all of it just since we did shrink up just a little bit. Little drizzle olive oil just so that they can stay nice and moist while they're roasting, just like you're making roasted asparagus, right? Salt and pepper. Okay, back into the oven, another 15-20 minutes. We'll check it and make sure it doesn't get too brown. And that's it. It's easy as pie, right? Easy as tart. This is out of the oven. I mean, seriously, how gorgeous is that? Just slide your cutter through. And then you could divide it into either 6 pieces or 8. I think you could easily get 8 from this. How pretty is this? Seriously, you could do this Easter dinner as an hors d'oeuvre. You could do this for maybe like a brunch with the girls. How about just cracking open a bottle of your favorite ice cold white wine, taking it maybe outside on a gorgeous day with your better half perhaps. That's what I think I'm gonna do. So we'll see you next time.